Hey, Jim Slick, Slick Audio. How's it going, guys? Hope you're having a good day. Good day. Um, I want to talk today about processing and plugins, whether to use out of the box, external, or in the box, meaning plugins. Um, this is a question that I get asked frequently, and here's how I'm going to answer it. If it's a digital plugin, um, or a digital box. So, for example, a digital delay, a digital reverb, a harmonizer like the Eventide harmonizer, the 9000 or the 8000, whatever, take your pick. Both great boxes. Um, you or the TC, whatever. Pick your box, doesn't matter. Do you realize what they are? They are nothing more than computers, and they have a processor in them. They have DSP in them, which is really a processor, guys. So it's not a processor like you're thinking of, like an i7, Intel i7 or a Xeon, but it is a processor. Shark processors are the most common, but yeah, there's a couple of different good flavors of DSP processing. It is a processor, so think it's nothing more than a computer. It's got memory, RAM. Computers have RAM, and it's got some degree of storage space. Now, computers have hard drives or SSDs, and inside those boxes, they actually have. It is really a solid state um, type of storage, permanent memory, but they're memory chips. Really, not a lot different than what's in an SSD. Actually, not really any different at all. So that basically makes them a computer. So, may I ask the question? What is the difference if I'm running an Eventide plugin on that, or if I'm running an Eventide plugin on this? I'll give you the answer. Nothing. Zero. Goose egg. As far as the sound is concerned, there should be zero difference. It's an algorithm. It's a program. That's all it is. So, the computer, the DAW, has got this plug-in, and it feeds the audio into the plug-in, and the plug-in is basically using your computer for that processing and DSP power. It's using your processor actually for the DSP power for the most part. Now there are some exceptions to that, UAD, and I've got TC here. I still have a power core. I know that's kind of old, but I've got a lot of great plugins in this thing that work very well, and I'm not giving them up because I like them. So anyway, there really is no difference whatsoever between the two. Now, based on your computing size, the computer that you have, again, be it Mac or PC, we don't care. Irrelevant to us. Do you have enough memory to run the plugins that you need to run? Do you have enough horsepower, meaning enough processing power, to be able to run those plugins? Hard disk space in today's world, or hard disk speed, I should say, sorry, means really nothing. It's inconsequential in today's discussions. So even the slowest hard drives, you can run tons of audio tracks on it and not have an issue. The faster the drives, you get to a point where you're wasting your money, to be brutally honest. But people like the SSDs, oh, they're fast. What the hell does that matter? You can only record, at a certain speed, anyways. You start getting up into. I've got a project up here that's got about 100 and some odd tracks on it, and yes, that is true, 100 and some odd tracks. So, anyways, the plugins, from that standpoint, from a digital perspective, really isn't any difference. It's do you have enough processing power to be able to run them? So they should sound the same. Now, analog, a little different story. In the analog world, I'm sitting here staring at one of my lovely compressors, DBX162 SL. Great processor, great compressors. Compressor. I got my head up my tail right now. I'm also looking at a Groove Tubes Supre, tube preamp. there's something to be said about a tube preamp for certain things, not for everything, for certain things. And there's a case where there's two analog products that actually color the sound. And the compressor shouldn't really color, but it definitely does have an effect. So I'll generically use the term color. The preamp definitely colors the sound. It has its own unique sound to it. I have always liked the Groove Tube stuff, the Viper, the Supre. I thought they were great sounding boxes. Then again, I've heard the True PA2 that just totally knocked me off my feet, and that's a FET-based, 100% chip. Based non-tube device, silicon-based device. Phenomenal sounding unit, very pristine, very clear, very open, very transparent. Now, those types of things, now preamp's a little, doesn't really apply, but it does. So let's talk about preamps for just a second. So, obviously we're going to plug into a preamp. Let's say we're going to do a vocal track. We have a microphone. We plug it into a preamp, and I particularly for vocals like tube pre's. I think it just adds that warmth, especially if you have a good voice. I try like hell, but it's not. It is what it is. You're born with what you're born with. There are plugins that emulate analog circuitry. So I've got some plugins that some of the Rupert Neve plugins and the like, and I'll tell you, they do a pretty darn good job at emulating a tube front end. So let's just say I didn't use my Supre for a microphone, and I just went directly into one of my RedNets here, my RedNet 4, which is an incredible preamp by itself, or for that matter, the heck with a pre. Let's just say I go and try to somehow go direct in without using a preamp, which is near impossible. The microphone, but that's just humor me. Come on, humor me. Laugh. There's you can have these plugins like from Rupert Neve or whatever that actually add colorations and emulate some of the great preamps of all time. And I'm here to tell you, they sound pretty damn good. Perfect, and verbatim, arguable. Compression's another one. I like my 162 SL. I like the way it sounds, and I think it just has a really nice response to it. It's the over easy is real. It's over easy. I'm not talking about eggs. I'm talking about compression now. So, there's compressors. I've got a ton of compressors and channel strips in here as plugins, and honestly, they sound phenomenal. They sound every bit as good as that unit does, and some better. So, I think it comes down to more of what are you recording, what do you like, and what do you want to hear? Because at the end of it all, when you get a mix going, are you really going to hear the little subtle nuances between the real Rupert Neve and the plug-in for Rupert Neve? Probably not. And even if you can, Mr. Bat, Mrs. Bat, I'm making fun of you now, by the way. So if you haven't caught that, I really am making fun of you. But if you can discern the difference between the two, I guarantee you that the person buying the music can't. Come on, guys. We're selling to the general public that are taking these wonderful, incredible 96K files that we're producing, and they're making the goddamn MP3s. MP3s! Crap! They sound like total crap, but people still buy them, and they're still frickin' converting everything to it. I don't get it, but whatever. Not for me. I shouldn't say it. I have them in my car because who the hell cares when you got 70 dB of frickin' noise around you? We don't care. But when I'm listening in my living room and they put on an MP3, I just about want to throw up. I quick run to the bathroom because I know it's coming sooner or later. The puke, that is. So, guys, the whole idea is we're trying to sell music here, and this is a business, And if you're doing it purely for enjoyment and for yourself, well, then you can afford to buy a new Rupert Neve console, find one and buy one. You have a time, man, and I hope you enjoy it. But for the rest of the working world that are actually trying to put out a song and either make their first hit or make their next big hit or finish their career, producing and or engineering as opposed to playing and doing performance work. Um, quite honestly, it's the old Jim Slick tool to get a job done, guys. Pick and shovel digs a hole in the frickin' ground. You wouldn't use a toothbrush to do that. So let's get real here. So comparing these things and trying to understand what your end audience, your target audience is for your product that you're trying to sell and market, I think you really need to come to a reality check with yourself and say, can I get away with a $50 plug-in? Do I need to spend $1,000 for a plug-in? Or do I need to spend $50,000, for a box, or $5,000 for a Manley compressor, or something? I'm not making fun of the Manley compressors; they're incredible, absolutely incredible. But do you really need it? Does your core audience, that you're selling to, are they going to hear the difference? No, I'm telling you right now, they're not. So if you think they can, again, I'll laugh at you. You can laugh at me back. I don't care if you do. no hair off my back by any stretch. But hey, it's just my opinion of it. I want to make money doing what I do. And if you don't want to make money doing what you do, then I think you need to look at a career change. And maybe go back to school or something and get some education, because, money kind of is what makes the world go round. And I know this stuff is enjoyable and we love it. And on many facets, engineering, production, playing, I certainly love it all. But there's a point where, you're trying to sell product, or if you're not trying to sell product, I assure you the person who's coming into your studio to do work is trying to sell product. And that's how you're going to make money to be able to pay for more of this stuff. Because let's face it, we're all gear whores, and we tend to spend more money on this stuff instead of pocketing the money like smart people do. But that's okay. Gear acquisition syndrome. I have it. I have it more ways than one. But we're not going to go there right now. So, anyways, that pretty much covered digital, and I just touched on a couple of things. I didn't get deep into every piece. I also talked about analog compression specifically. Equalization would also fall into that category, and many other vintage type effects, tape echoes and the like. Most of that stuff is emulated today, and even to the point of mastering down onto tape. There's a lot of guys that'll take and run off to 2-inch tape or even half-inch tape and run back again. Guys, I've got a Yamaha plug-in that does that, and with absolute impeccable accuracy. Ampex, Revox, Studio Revox boxes. And I don't want to give up my age, but I remember recording to those things many, many, many times. That's all we had. This stuff didn't exist yet. So, the old 24-track Ampex and the Studio Revox boxes, that was great stuff. I mean, it certainly had a warmth and a character to it that is remarkable. And, some phenomenal producers and engineers have done a fantastic job with them over the years. Like Alan Parsons, come on, man, Dark Side of the Moon. Wow. You want to talk about doing magic, with tape and the technology that was available then. And I mean, there's a myriad of other ones. So that just came to mind because I really respect Alan's work. I don't think there's anybody in the business that doesn't. But it's just you got to come to a reality in what we're doing here in 2016 and beyond, and that is. We're trying to make music, but we're also trying to make money. So we want to keep costs down. We want to keep product quality as high as possible, without going into the point of ridiculousness. I'll use the term, "Hey, my speakers can hit 50K." Well, it's good. I wish your ears could too. And if you think you can, then again, you're a bat, and you're really screwed up. So. And it's funny because these monitors here really do go up to 50K, and I really don't give two shits that they do. But the fact of the matter is, it just happens to be that way. And there, without getting into the technical nuts of it all, there is a reason why you'd want it to go above 20. But look, most of us musicians can't hear past 16K anyways, if we're lucky. Probably 12, 14K for a good deal of us. Engineers, producers. who have kept and their hearing in good shape and protected it. You guys probably have some decent range left to 16, 18K. But babies are born with 20K. We don't have it at 30, 40, 50 years old. So that's the general gist. What I was going to show you, Chris, I don't know if you want to quick point the camera over at the screen. I just have a channel strip up here on a vocal track. And yes, I have auto-tune on my voice. I told you my voice isn't perfect. But I'm using the equalizer right in. This is Cubase 8.1, by the way, Pro. I think Chris is walking over to the camera, so it's all good. I'm just going to keep talking. So yeah, I'm using the EQ inside of here. And I also have stereo delay and VSS3, which is one of my plugins from my PowerCore, and it's killer. I love that thing, which is why I use it, because I really love it. Did I say I loved it? I use it, whatever. So that's, one thing. Now, I don't have anything in, this is a true channel strip right directly inside of Steinberg's Cubase 8.1. I'm not using anything out of that. I try to keep my tracks as bland as possible. I'm going to close this out here for a moment and open up a different track. Let me see, one of the harmony tracks. This has got some automation on it, so I'm not sure what I've got in here. Yeah, there's a ping pong delay. That's where the automation is. This track happens to... See, this is a cool thing that we can do, by the way, with plugins that you really can't do too well. You can. I shouldn't say that. I certainly can. I know how to do it. It's just more difficult to do it. But I actually have automation to turn this ping pong delay on at one little teeny tiny spot in the song. And what it does is it takes one of my words, if you will, and echoes it from left over to right, and that's it. Done. So it turns it on for that, turns it back off immediately after, and it's done directly with the lead vocal. And I took it down into a separate track, side-chained it into a separate track. So, it's really cool with the amount of things that you can do there. And again, there's channel strips that are available. If I open up another... just open up this guy again here. We have all kinds of Dynamics processors. Dynamics is the compression and the like. The Ozone, Isotope Ozone. Man, what a phenomenal plug-in that is. I just have absolutely fallen in love with that, and have been using it more and more and more. But there's an example of a phenomenal set of plug-ins. We were talking about reverb before. I have the Eventide Black Hole. That's just freaking killer. And of course the Ultra Reverb, the Ultra Channel. There's a channel strip. If I open this up, you'll be able to see here in just a moment. There you go. So, there's an actual, that's Ultra Channel, that is an actual Eventide channel strip. So, do you want to spend big bucks and get a bazillion of these things so you can use them, or do you want to be able to just add plugins like this and have the power of that channel strip at your fingertips? I'll give you my answer. Well, you already see it. I shouldn't have to even give it, but it's there's a whole hell of a lot of ways to do a lot of things here. And I think it's pretty darn important that you understand that there's a lot of ways to... Chris, you can come back over and point at me again. I'm not going to stare at the screen. The screen's not working. So, anyways, this is going to bump a little bit while he's putting back on. So, these plugins, sorry, tired. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. It's Tuesday. It is a Tuesday. I'm recording this, so I'm just letting you know. End of day. It is after 5. It is beer 30. Jim wants a pint of Guinness. I really do. So I'm going to cut this thing out. So, hey, be good, man. Cheers.